I'm going to record this for the people who aren't here. What should we charge them for not showing up today?
Mhm.
I mean, $20, $50. I mean, if I did this like nationally, like for PRSA, it'd be like $800, right?
Yeah.
You know,
What
I
you
was
do
laughing.
is you charge a monthly subscription. You just make it on your Niplefs, whatever.
No, that
They get the library of weekly Zoom calls.
yeah,
There
this
you
this
go.
is this is a unaffiliated with my other stuff. So I think we just kind of want to have kind of a general conversation about kind of where we are in podcasting. Let me just shoot her a note.
Can I ask an unrelated question?
Yeah.
So, apparently, there's a section now in the Business Chronicle, which I'm trying to find, called like civic briefs or civic something. It's like little news blurbs. It's not every week. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Is it once a month? Is that when they do it? And who does it? I can't find it. I've gone through the last like 6 issues, but one of my clients saw it and thought they needed to be in there. So
Yeah, I thought I saw it just a week or two back. Who is doing that? I can't remember. I think maybe I'm not sure if Doug Sams was doing that or if it was
and it looks
David
like Byron
Allison.
is doing his little picture page again. So
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. You think it's Doug that's doing that?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay. It's not every week though. I don't see it every week.
No, it's probably when they it's probably when they sell enough advertising space to do it, right?
Contributing writer H.M. Cawley.
Oh, Helen Cawley. Okay, well there you go.
Okay.
Helen's in my database if you need her email.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I'll pitch her. I got some stuff for her then. Great.
Oh, Helen will probably be a lot more responsive than Doug.
Civic Atlanta.
Civic Atlanta. Okay.
And
well, that makes sense.
what is Civic Atlanta? What is that
It's a
about?
little section Chronicle's doing. It's got little news briefs
About
helping children, the environment, donations, various things. They're like civic stuff.
oh good.
So yeah, I have
That's great.
a very closely read client that saw it and was like, we need to be in there. I was like, okay.
That's good.
Good.
That's good. Well, it's funny because they for a while they weren't doing their viewpoint section, their viewpoint pieces at all.
Yeah.
And then I've seen them start popping up a little bit more in the last couple of months, but it's intermittent. It's it's not like every week we're gonna have a viewpoint piece, but it's just once in a while, which is kind of kind of crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so we're talking about podcasting, and I asked George to join us because he's a former Fox 5 reporter, and he does some streaming video and podcasting too, so he can maybe add to the conversation. But kind of, I mean, I'll just start it off. I mean, I'm kind of talk about what's working and what doesn't work, and what people seem to want. And I started mine last year as a video podcast, and then the 4 questions spotlight thing, and then I was talking to Sarah Smith, who does the Girls on Film podcast, and she does Ryan Millsap's Black Hall Studios podcast and some other stuff. And she said, well, why don't you do this as audio also? And I thought, well, that's going to be a whole nother thing to do. And she hooked me up with a free website that allows me to upload the audio and syndicate it for like $12 a month. And it's pretty easy to do because I was looking at a lot of different websites that said, oh, we can syndicate your podcast, and they were all either very complicated, or they wanted to charge me like individually for every single one that I wanted to syndicate. But I found this site called Buzzsprout.
Buzzsprout?
Yeah, hold on. Let's see. Buzz. Yeah, Buzzsprout. I'm going to put the, hey, Em.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
Hi.
Buzzsprout.com. There it is. Put it in the chat there. In Buzzsprout, you just, as long as you have your audio file, you can really easily upload it and then set up your syndication. So it's going out to Apple and Pandora and Doodle and Deedle, and it's like 10 of them. I can't remember all. You just click it, put in the RSS feed, and it does it for you. It kind of sets it up for you and sends it out. Now you have to go back and look at the stats and kind of see what's what there. But what I realized was, since I was doing it as a video file, all I had to do was, in addition, once I was done with the video file, just save the file as an audio only file, and boom, got a podcast, which works fine unless I refer to something like, as you can see here. It's like seeing, like, remember, if you guys remember when CNN used to do headline news over the radio, and you'd be listening to the radio and it's going, oh, as you're seeing in this dramatic video, like, I'm driving, I really don't see any video here, but anyway. So, I don't know, mine seems to be picking up some traction. It's kind of a specialized audience, people who are interested in journalism or PR. I guess the people who are more interested in this kind of thing. But
Can I subscribe to you? I don't think I've subscribed to you yet on the podcast app for Apple. Are you there?
yeah, just Google 4 Questions Journalist Spotlight, and it should pop up.
Okay.
And I'm kind of amazed that I've managed to do this almost every week for the last year. It's like crazy, but it's kind of fun. Something different. Yeah, it's more fun to do that sometimes than pitching media. So, it's a little, right, George? Those media folks are crazy.
Yeah, it's not the reporters, it's the executive producers. What do you mean you got this from a PR firm? We don't do PR. I would never tell them about those pitches. I'd always pretend it was like, because I love you guys, but just be real. If they heard it came from PR, they'd like, oh, I don't know. Anyway.
I have had reporters in the Business Chronicle tell me, if you send this to me, my editor is going to kick it out. But if you have your client send it to me, then we're more likely to use it, which is crazy. But
it's just a perception.
Yeah. I mean, what do you guys think of, as consumers of podcasts? What do you guys like as a length of a podcast? I've been trying to keep mine to like 20, 25 minutes or so, because I don't like listen. I think an hour-long podcast is too long.
Half an hour or less. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I was just listening to one today, and it was 22 minutes and just enough.
That's about right. Yeah. An hour is like, well, I don't have an hour. Yeah.
Something you can do when you're doing a workout, and you can get it in during the workout.
Well, you don't work out for an hour and a half, George?
Well, I do, but
so you can listen to 3 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think an hour, if you got an hour worth of content, you should just break it up and have part 1, part 2, and part 3.
I agree.
And I don't think people's attention span is like that anymore. They're just like gnats, in and out real quick.
Yeah, NPR does some longer ones. Like How I Built This, NPR, they do some hour ones. So it's good when you're driving, you're doing a long drive or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
A long walk.
I was listening to Jason Durden, who used to be on WSB radio, just started one, and it's not bad, but his were going like 45 minutes to an hour, which to me seemed, I don't know, when you start thinking, is this still going as you're listening to it, then it's too long.
What's his topic?
It's whatever. It's kind of interesting people and things.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm surprised that you called me today, because for the longest time I've thought I have to get my Franco files going again. And I've talked about it because I'm like, I can do auctioneering, I can do fundraising, I can do real estate. And I'm like, I don't know. So I always thought, well, what do I want to do? And how do you get it out there? And are people going to listen? Are they going to watch?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, should a podcast be anything and everything, or do you think it's better if it's more specific? Say like Carol Flammer does a good one. You know, her Atlanta real estate radio show, which is mostly focused on real estate kinds of issues, but then she also talks about things that are happening around Atlanta, events and activities and things like that. But
Who's
you know,
that?
Carol, well, no, sorry, she'll hit me if I said Carol Flower. Carol Morgan.
Yeah.
To look her up.
Yeah,
Got
Allison.
remarried.
Allison is, yeah, divorced. Yeah, not
Married.
married anymore.
I
Yeah,
think you've got all over the map. You got to already have a following. You know,
Yeah.
it's better to start with a specific topic that people know they're going to get that.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
and then you can branch out once you have an audience into some other things. That's just my point of view.
yeah.
But you're
I
just,
think it needs to have
you're
Meredith.
on mute. I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I didn't hear you.
hold on.
I'm sure it was great. Now you're muted. Now
Can
you're
you hear me?
Yeah.
There you
Now,
are.
Yeah.
Okay. I need a new laptop, guys. Issues. No, I was saying I agree with Meredith. I think it needs to have a theme, especially for branding purposes. I mean, you know, if you have this sort of general, you know, topic type of, I mean, there's millions of topics out there. It needs to be focused somewhere and somehow.
unless you already are, you know, a famous personality and people just want to hear what you think. No.
Yeah.
Problem is, they'll say, remember that Mexican kid on the news?
Yeah.
Right. But then, I mean, it would be what, musings? I mean, you have to like sort of have a title that would, you know what I mean? Like
People know what
point
they're
to what you're trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah. So George, yours is going to be That Mexican Kid. Is that going to be the name of your podcast?
Until I get the cancer culture shut me down. No. I just thought I pitched it one time, and Channel 5 was like, "I already have the IT, but I wanted to do the Franco Files on the news, and that would be my series of stories about." At the time, I wanted technology and aviation, and that's what I was trying to focus on. But of course, he had too many murders to cover, and I was like, "Come on, let me do something else." But that's what I was thinking about. And my first topic would be fundraising. I'm a professional benefit auctioneer, and I think I do have a good sense of how fundraising is happening now, and it's hybrid fundraising and live fundraising, and streaming video, connecting audiences together with a live audience and a virtual audience, and raising funds involving both audiences. And you kind of put on this show like the Emmys, which is live and virtual. And that there's a lot of different layers of that, and lots of people are watching that. So that would be my jump off point. But like I said,
you could have, I mean, with all the nonprofits in Atlanta, I mean, you could have like a different nonprofit on it every week and talk about, you know, what they do and how they're raising money and challenge it.
Yeah. I agree. But Mitch, how do you do it? That takes so much time.
Well, you know, it's funny.
Or does it?
Well, it does and it does. It takes a little bit of time. So what I started out doing when I first started doing the video part of it, I was doing it. I would do the video part, and I would have like, you know, underneath I would have like not subtitles, but I have like the graphics that would pop up with, you know, links to this and links to that and other you know, all that kind of stuff. And I realized that it's like, I don't think people were caring about that, you know, as long as I said it during the course of the audio or video. And then sometimes I'll drop in, you know, the, you know, link to a publication kind of underneath the video. But if you're listening to the audio, then of course you don't see that anyway, right? But it takes, I don't know. I mean, I've got it down to about 25 minutes to record, and I've gotten pretty good about being pretty tight about it. I got my list of questions, you know, because sometimes I'll say, "What's your favorite restaurant?" You know, it's my lightning round. What's your favorite restaurant? You know, that kind of thing. And I want the answer to be, you know, Mellow Mushroom. I don't want the answer to be, well, I like to go to this one because they have this chef and they have this kind of. I say, no, I just want to know, short answer, what's your favorite restaurant? I don't need the 10-minute explanation of why it's your favorite restaurant, right?
How much
So-
prep do you do with the guy beforehand?
I mean, I give already the questions, and I kind of have them thinking about it, and I'll do a little research on kind of their background and the kind of stuff they're doing, so I can ask kind of intelligent questions. But a lot of it is just kind of flowing from how they answer one question takes me to the next question sometimes. I don't know. It kind
Yeah,
of
but it also helps your business too, to know these reporters too. So it helps your business. So
Well-
George, if you're looking to bring on some nonprofits as clients, then that may be a great way for
Yeah.
you to get to meet them. If that's who you eventually want to pitch and work with.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. Absolutely. Yeah, and I already do these fundraisers about 25, 30 a year if I'm good. So this year.
Yeah, and I
It's
think a
changed.
lot of people use Calendly to
Mhm.
book people. Use that. I think that's a real good service to use. So you don't have to go back and forth with the booking. Yeah. Oh, and also interesting, if you guys saw on Business Chronicle today, Calendly is going to let all their employees work remotely in Atlanta. So it's pretty good.
Is Calendly based in Atlanta?
Yeah.
but it, in terms of production, I mean, once I tape it, it takes me an hour or two to kind of edit it. And I mean, it's not a whole lot of editing. I edit the video in Corel video software, and then that lets me save it as an audio file too. And then maybe half an hour, uploading it Sundays to the various social media sites and syndicator sites and all that. So I don't know, maybe 3 hours a week, maybe, which now that I'm saying it sounds like a lot more than I thought it was.
Not at all.
I didn't catch that. I'm sorry.
I said about 3 hours a week.
No. The program you use to edit.
Oh, it's called, hold on, I'll tell you.
And I've got GarageBand on my laptop. I wonder if that would work.
It's called Corel Video Studio.
Oh,
Corel Video Studio. And it's a pretty user friendly piece of video editing software. I told George is it does a lot more than I do with it. It's I probably use about 10% of what it can do, but for the purposes of podcasting, it doesn't need to be that complicated. Anyway,
The question I had, Mitch, isn't necessarily how much time you put when you're doing the podcast, editing it down, but you're on the phone finding these people, email people. How do you find them all?
some are email, sometimes it's people I'm working with. I just set up. Actually, I'm taping 3 tomorrow because I figured it's a Friday before 4th of July. I'm not going to get a whole lot of media pitching done anyway, so I just set up 3 or 4 of them, and every half hour or so for a couple of hours. So, but I think 2 of them I hit through Instagram. I messaged them through Instagram, and I connected that way, and then the other 2 were through email. So I got Christine Pollara, who's with
I know
Atlantic,
Christine, she's a sweetheart.
and then Joe Ferguson, who does a podcast actually called In Context for the AJC. Jen Hobby at Star 94, who is doing her own podcast called The Frenzy, FRIENDZY, with Melissa Carter. So that's kind of a fun podcast they started doing a couple months ago. And then the editor of Simply Buckhead magazine. So I try to kind of mix it up. I mean, I could go to like TV people every week, but I kind of like to do a variety of small and large, online, print, that kind of thing. Just I don't do enough the radio folks, because they're not as responsive. So it sometimes takes a bit more effort. And I like to go to people who I don't know very well. I mean, I go to, every once in a while, if I'm short a segment for the week, I'll call somebody who's a good friend and say, hey, tape this for me. I need somebody for this week. But more often than not, I'll try to go to other people. But you know, as Allison was saying, it is kind of a brand builder. You know, and it's a fun way to get to know a reporter who I don't know very well, because I'm not pitching them on a story. I'm pitching them to tell their story. No one ever asks reporters to talk about themselves, right?
Right.
It's kind of a fun way to do that. I mean, what do you guys? Do you guys have topics? I mean, Meredith, were you doing something with tennis?
Yeah, so that's an Instagram page and a Facebook page, and I've got a pretty good following. I mean, it's all tennis players and across both platforms. There is some overlap. I probably got 300 or 400 somewhere on there, and I haven't developed it into any kind of blog or pod. I just kind of post on commentary from playing recreational tennis in Atlanta, which Atlanta is the largest town for that in the world.
Really?
Yeah, more recreational tennis players in Atlanta than anywhere else in the world. And I've actually worked with 3 or 4 companies, promote stuff. So I'm a little micro influencer.
Atlanta also has a great wheelchair tennis association. I don't even know what they're called. My friend Enzo runs Wheels of Happiness, and he's part of it. And that's a great group.
A wheelchair section. Yeah. I haven't played much tennis in the last month or so I haven't been posting much. But it's still going. I haven't dropped it. I just slowed down a little bit on it. And I didn't know what I wanted to do with it at first. I was just kind of like, I like to play tennis, and I'm gonna have a page. We'll see. But my followers that are there are passionate. So, like I said, I have been able to reach out to a few brands and promote stuff. So I've gotten some free stuff out of it.
So can I ask you guys, what do you find to be the best platform to deliver? Because you talked about syndication, Mitch, but does that mean you're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Apple iPod? And that's the part I don't really understand.
Sure. So let me pull that up, and I'll tell you. So I am on, let's see, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Pandora,
Wow,
TuneIn, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Podcast Casts, Deezer, Player FM, and Podcast Index.
jeez.
And those are all things that I just set up through Buzzsprout. It gives you a whole page, and you just click where it says "Get Listed," and you click it, and it asks for your RSS feed, which the site here kind of does, and then you just put it in there, and it lists it. Hold on one second. Sorry, guys. Keep talking. I got to set up an interview real quick.
So if any of y'all play tennis, you can follow me.
What's here? Where do we find you, Meredith?
Short Angles, but it's short_angles on Instagram, and then on Facebook it's just Short Angles, at Short Angles, and there's a little tennis court in the picture.
Oh, cool.
A lot of pictures of me on there, so you'll know you found the right spot.
Are you very good?
I'm a pretty good tennis player. Yeah.
All right, so let me share the screen here. So this is the directory page for Buzzsprout. So you just click on all these. It gives you a list. I mean, some of these I never heard of, so I didn't bother. But it's really easy to do. And the nice thing is this thing will help you set up a kind of a podcast player that you can put into your website. So if you see like it's got the player, so you just just scroll down, and you can see all the podcasts that are available, and it lets you put a picture in for the one of the week. Although for some reason it keeps I guess I have to figure out the horizontal versus vertical orientation of my pictures because I keep doing them and they're like, oops, sorry. Sorry.
Hey, Mitch, what do you use to record your podcast? Right
So
here.
I am using the video software. So I do it. Well, actually, I do it through Zoom. So I record it through Zoom, and sorry. All right. Sure.
It's multitasking.
No, I'm sorry. I was pitching a story this morning, and this reporter just called and said, "Hey, I want to talk to your client now."
It's always now.
Yeah, so I was just telling him that she's going to call him. Yeah, so I do it through Zoom, and the nice thing is you can alter the view and you can pin the video. So like the one I did last week or this week, I had two people from the Appen Media Group. So what I did was it was like a TV switcher, so instead of seeing 3 boxes, I would switch them out. So you'd have one or two, you have 2 people, and then I can change it to speaker view. So if someone's going to be speaking for a couple of minutes asking a question, then I just switch it to full screen. So you get a variety. So it's not always just the 2 boxes of people talking. It kind of mixes it up a little bit. And I can also, so once I get the Zoom video done, it's Zoom saves it as an audio file and a video file, so you got both. So if you want to,
it saves it as both.
Yeah, it saves it as both.
Which,
So the question I had with that, Mitch, is
which level of
every time I've saved on Zoom, it gives you 480 by something. It's teeny tiny file. It's not it's not high def, or is there a different level?
Yeah,
Zoom do you have?
I guess I have just the first paid level of Zoom.
That's what I've got.
Yeah, but I mean,
150 or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean the files seem decent size.
My experience has been with that when I've tried to record things that it only has room in the cloud for like 3 or 4, and then I've got to delete and start over. Or if I've tried downloading it to my computer and they're huge, so I got to put it in Dropbox or something. But
do you guys know of StreamYard? I have to talk about StreamYard. Do you know about StreamYard? Love StreamYard. Check it out.
StreamYard is great. Hold on one second. So for the like, I'm just looking to see, like, for this last one I did, I'm trying to see how big the file is, because I've been saving these as MP4 files for
in the cloud.
No, I'm saving on my computer.
Oh, okay.
And it doesn't. I don't seem to have an issue with. Of course, it's not showing me how big the file is right now.
You're not having to go back and delete a bunch of stuff because it's gotten too big or whatever.
No.
Okay.
All right, let's see. So this is saying this file is 313 megabytes. Well, that's not very big for a video file.
Not at all.
Huh. See, the audio file is 24 megabytes. So maybe Zoom is compressing these. I don't know. But I haven't had a problem with that. So, but it saves it to Zoom, and then I will. Let me share this with you. So then I'll take it and put it into. This is the video editing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just take it and put it into this, and then I could, you've got different tracks. You can do video, you can do titles and voiceovers and music and overlays. And let me open the last one so you can kind of see and I've just kind of been playing with this software for the last couple of years. So, it's not necessarily easy to, you got to, as with anything, you got to take some time to figure out how to use it. So you can see, like, this is, the title overlay, and then there's a little voiceover at the beginning. And then this is the main video over here. And then you got titles. And then I'll do, like, like my open, I do like an open over like some graphics.
Mhm.
So you'll see. Welcome to another edition of our 4 Questions Journalist Spotlight, where we are talking with yet another awesome journalist from Atlanta. And so it's got, I can split the audio and video and do that kind of thing with the open there. And then I've got little bumper music at the end that I'm just using what they gave, what comes with the with the software. I keep thinking, I did have one reporter I talked to who was a piano player, Chris Chandler over at WSB. So I had him send me some audio of him playing piano music. So I used his music as the bumper music, which was kind of fun. Of course, it was July. It was like May, and it was Christmas music, but that was the only thing he had handy. So anyway, but it was kind of fun. But as I said, this can be as simple or as complicated as you want. Like this thing. Let me show you. I'll share this again. So this will have the. This will have this, and then if you want to save it, it gives you a bunch of options, which software is not moving fast now. There we go. So you can save it as, a WMV file or a MOV file or just an audio file or different kinds of MPEG files. So you can save it however you want. So you can save it as a more compressed file, but if I want to save it, like if I do the video file and then I just like, okay, now I just want to save this as an audio file, then I just click this and it saves it as the audio file.
Is Corel part of a big suite? Because I have Adobe. My wife does Photoshop and I have Premiere and all that, After Effects, all that stuff. I imagine Corel's part of a suite. They've got Corel Paint too, don't they?
Yeah. There's Corel's got a whole bunch of options. I mean, I think this one costs me. I mean, it's a one-time It's a one-time cost. I think I paid maybe $80, for one time. Then of course they try to upgrade me every time I use it, right? But like I said, this does more than I need. So I upgrade it until they don't support it anymore, and then I maybe upgrade to the new one. But
Mitch, I have paid $80 for 30 seconds of video.
Well, I know. So $80 is not that expensive, and I know some of the services will charge you,
with
$50
Franco
a
Productions.
month as a regular.
That's what Adobe does. It's $50 a month, but we've had it for years.
But if you are, let me show you guys something else. So if you want to do just audio, and like if you wanted to start with just, hey, let's start with audio before I mess with video, there's a free software. There's a piece of free software called Audacity that's really good. Let's see. No, I can't find it. Audacity. I've used Audacity for years and years and years. I haven't been using it as much lately because I've been using the video to turn into the audio. But let's see. All right, let me find it this way. But it's really good for audio editing, and it's pretty Audacity. It's open source, and you can use it across kind of any platform. Let's see, share. Okay, so sorry, let me get this out of the way. So this is Audacity, and you just download it. Like I said, it's free, and this is kind of what the interface looks like. Which if you kind of done audio editing, it's kind of a similar kind of thing. So it's very user friendly. You just kind of you can cut and paste sections. You can delete audio. I like it. It's good for if you're doing an interview with somebody and there's a long pause, you just go back and delete the pause, and it sounds like they responded instantly and didn't spend 15 seconds trying to formulate an answer, which is fine, especially when you're doing a audio only podcast. You don't want the listener to be listening to, dead air for 15 seconds. And I do that with the video too. If someone is kind of fumbling a little bit or takes a few minutes to answer a question, then I can go back to that. I mean, I had somebody recently who we talked about I thought she was a doctor of something. And I kind of was talking about that. And at the end, she said, that doctorate is really just an honorary doctorate. I didn't actually earn a doctorate. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't realize that. So I just went back and deleted the whole conversation about the doctorate. It's like, okay, we don't need to have that in there if you don't want it in there. We'll just take that out. But Audacity is really, it's pretty easy to use. And again, it'll let you amplify the video. You can adjust, you can filter and do all kinds of more complicated audio editing with it. But for the purposes of a podcast, you're probably just kind of doing basic editing, and it's pretty user friendly. Like I said, I've probably used this software for at least 15 years, if not more. It's really good. And it's really friendly, and it works on anything, and it's free. Yeah. So, but most of these things take a little bit of, you got to sit down and play with it. As with like social media channels, you got to sit down and figure out, how do I work those Facebook ads? How do I do that? How do I boost them? You just got to sit down and do it. And like the video software, there's a lot of tutorials on YouTube. So sometimes in the evening I'll flip through YouTube on my TV and just say, hey, find me a video tutorial about Corel, something I haven't done before. I mean, the thing will do all kinds of cool things. I mean, you could have multiple cameras and sync them all together so you can have different perspectives. It's, more than I have time to deal with, right? And I'm, I know my skill level enough so that when a client says, I need this kind of video editing or this kind of production produced, I know enough to say, that's not me. It would take me, that's what I call George. I'd say, George, I need this. I need a video production. You help me with that. But
That's good to know, George.
Yeah, no, George Franco Productions is real now. It took me a while to get it off the ground, but I've got all the gear and all the editing software, and it's taking off. It's doing it.
Hey, George, that website, is it georgefrancoproductions.com?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm just going to put it in the chat here too.
Thank you.
And I think when I save the file, I think the chat comments stay, somewhere.
Yeah.
So if not, I know when I save it, when I save the file down, there's like a separate text file with the Zoom that has the chat comments. So anyway.
Yeah, and
GeorgeFranco.com. If you're watching this later and you can't find the chat, GeorgeFranco.com is the website you want to go to.
Exactly. Yeah, and the other thing, because we're talking podcasts, from here I'm going to meet with the folks at Smith Gilbert Gardens. I'm doing their fundraiser, and we're also providing the streaming video to do that hybrid thing. Streaming video is a big thing right now, and I think it's going to be the way of the future. And we were talking about that, Mitch, earlier, about providing streaming video in lieu of having somebody there. But I'm working with, I don't know if you know, Jeremy Ladd was a DJ in 2090s, and he's got Atlanta Music Studios and True View Video, and great big studios and everything under the sun. So he's become kind of my technical guru to make sure all things are happening right with streaming, because when it comes to streaming, it's not necessarily about the cameras, it's about finding the right connections and doing the engineering part. And I'm the guy in front of the camera, but I hate engineering. I can do it, but I'd rather just bring somebody in who is the pro, at engineering something.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like, as with so many things, it's like, yeah, maybe I can figure out how to fix the plumbing on my toilet. But if it takes me 4 hours, then I might as well hire somebody and pay him to do it right in an hour, and
Yeah.
then I can spend that 4 hours actually working and making money, and not doing it.
And
Poor
you'll deliver more to your clients too.
Right.
I'm sure your clients appreciate you having a toilet that works though.
What was that, Meredith?
I said, but I'm sure your clients will appreciate the fact that your toilet works.
Yes, and
No
my
matter
wife.
No matter how you accomplish it.
Right, and my wife and children as well.
I could see you fixing your own toilet. Hasn't everybody done that? Anyway,
I do.
I have.
I can fix the guts of them, but
Yeah, I know.
beyond a certain point, I was like, okay, then it's like, well, electrical work, I can fix a faulty outlet, but if I need to rewire a good part of my house, then
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, we got rentals, and believe me, there are parts I'm like, let a pro do that, or I can do that. And
Yeah.
and sometimes, how are you spending your time? And as they say, time is money, and I've got something else to do. Send somebody else to get it done.
Right. Well, so one of the things that I was thinking about, not that I have time to do this, but is a podcast, kind of a variation that's, instead of 4 questions journalist spotlight, it's 4 questions PR agency spotlight. Because there's so many PR agencies that are doing kind of really cool things, not necessarily the big giant ones, but like I was talking to Karen West the other day. I mean, they do all kinds of festivals and event kind of things. They're just really fun stuff. And Karen and Chad are just kind of fun, cool people. And I thought it would be fun to do a podcast with them, just talking about what they do. And I don't feel like it's competitive with what I do necessarily. I think there's plenty of work for everybody around town lately. But I don't know. I mean, it seems like, that'd be a cool thing if like PRSA was doing that, but I don't know. I mean, they kind of do some spotlights, but I don't know if PRSA does a podcast, do they? At least Georgia.
I'm not aware of it.
Yeah.
They do
question-
that very well.
Mitch, the question I've always had of you is, you do 4 questions spotlight journalists, but I thought, and the impression I get is you're involved in the kind of music studio industry. I'm sure you'd get all kinds of attention if you could do that to directors, producers, the movie industry, the entertainment industry in Georgia.
Yeah, and Nicole and I have been talking about that for a year, about doing a podcast like that. The challenge is there are a lot of podcasts like that around. So we've been trying to figure out, how do we do ours that's a little bit different? And maybe it's the entertainment industry, but it's more marketing communications focused, as opposed to just what you're about. Because I could rattle off, there's Girls on Film, the Black Hall podcast, there's the Independent Film Producers podcast, there's Georgia Box Office, there's C-Suite. I could rattle off probably 5 or 6 off the top of my head that are kind of general entertainment industry kind of podcasts. And some of them are focused more specifically or more than others. But I don't know. What do you think, Nicole? Oh, Nicole's not with us. She looks like she's with us, but she's not. She walked away. All right.
Just an idea. Anyway.
So yeah, but we've been talking about it.
I'm with you. I'm
Oh, there you
here.
are.
I've been listening the whole time.
Okay.
I'm on a deadline. So I disagree with Mitch. I'm not in the thinking of, there's just so many podcasts out there that you shouldn't do what your niche is. So for me, it would be industry, people in the community that are in the film industry, politicians, and like community leaders. So that's how I wanted to make mine a little bit different. But it's no different than, if you wanted to go out for Mexican food, which Mexican food do you want to go to? There's 100 places to pick, so I think it's about, for me, think about who your connections are, who's in your circle, who do you think is interesting that you could get to, that you would like to interview, and then see what the buzz does, and see what, what I wanted to know from Mitch is what I'd like for him to find out is, how do we do a podcast and people pay us? This is brought to you by United States Post Office. Do you have stamps? Do you need stamps? I want people to do that for us.
Yeah. So a couple of things on that. So, on YouTube, you have to get a certain number of subscribers before you start making money on it. I think it's like 100,000 or something like that. And I'm not quite there yet. I think I'm about at 30. So I've got 999,000. Yeah. One more. I'm that much closer.
I didn't know you were on YouTube. Go subscribe.
Yeah. Well, all my podcasts are on my YouTube channel too. So they're just all over the place. But
or is it 4 journalists? 4 questions with the journalists?
now I think you just, if you go to YouTube and just do Mitch Leff, I think it probably will pop up. So yes, Nicole. So I started throwing in a little, just for a play saver. I have a little thing at the front of my podcast now that says, this week's Journalist Spotlight is brought to you by Left Atlanta Media. So, theoretically I could replace that with, someone else, but it's got to be someone who thinks that they're going to get business or exposure or something by putting their face on my podcast. Right. So, maybe it's someone who offers kind of a, PR related industry services, like a clipping service or Cision or, that kind of thing, I guess. Right. I mean, I'm open to other ideas. I really, honestly, I just haven't put enough effort into thinking who's a target list for advertising for my podcast, and what would I charge for it. So
Michael Smart PR might be a good advertiser. Do you know him?
I don't know Michael Smart.
Okay, so I subscribe to him, and it's like training and questions and help, and he's got a Facebook page, and he sends you stuff during the month, and but he might be a good advertiser for you. Awesome. I think it's michaelsmartpr.com.
I have to think, like, so what do I charge for that little 5-second ad at the beginning? $100, $50, $2,000.
Well, how does YouTube do it when you get enough subscribers? Because I'm constantly clicking out of the way if I'm looking up a how-to YouTube video, whatever, and these guys come on there, and how do they? And I've seen various workshops, I guess, and I never really followed up, but so you have to get enough subscribers, and then YouTube assigns you advertising. Do you solicit advertising? How does that work?
I think I am not an expert on it, but I think what happens is you get to a certain level, and then they put you into like a, it's not Google ads, but it's like YouTube ads or something, and then they start linking ads to your site. I think that's how it works, and then they start sending you a check every month or something. Yeah, I mean, that's how some of these folks make lots of money. It's like you got 1 million subscribers, and you're making $20,000 a day on the ads that way or something. A lot of those people are in gaming or video gaming or some sort of influencer kind of thing. All right, so Nicole, you're gonna put together a proposal for us, and we're gonna do an entertainment focused podcast, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I know you and I have been talking about it. We just haven't quite gotten it figured out yet, right?
Right.
We got to build up the viewership, and then we can figure out how to make money on it. But I will say a lot of, like, my goal with the 4 questions thing is A, it's branding, and B, it's an opportunity to get to know reporters that I don't know. I mean, we've had this conversation. I mean, I can use this as an entree to talk to a reporter, at a magazine who I think I might want to be pitching 6 months down the road, and to kind of start building a relationship that way. So that way, when I do call and pitch them 6 months down the road, they're hopefully more receptive because I did this nice spotlight on them, right? So,
I think
so
the reason why that I even brought up the asking about sponsorships and getting, paid to do podcasts, as many people are reaching out and asking if I can do that for them. And I mean, I'm a Svengali, but I'm not like Jesus, I mean, some of these people like come to me and they're like, I don't know much about social media. And I'm like, oh, I mean, this is just too green.
I mean, what are they asking you to do?
So a filmmaker reached out and said that she needs help with the movie that she just made and directed, and she's an independent artist, and asking me how much I cost. And I just said, what is it that you need? And she says, I just need the social media, the marketing and the branding, and getting it to the press and to the media. So
That's all.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all she needs.
And she was like, but I don't really do well with social media. And then she said, and I'm also really not an email person. And what I have learned very quickly is when people say that to me, that's just like a big red flag. I can't work with folks like that,
When they say they're not an email person, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, like the person who referred me, I was like, I'd love to help them. They're just too green. I can't teach them about the film industry. I mean, I don't have the time for that. So.
Yeah. And honestly, sometimes clients like that are they're too small for you to make money on. Right.
Yes.
And it just becomes frustrating because you overwork it and they're not happy. And if they don't understand the process and understand what marketing is all about, then
Sorry.
it becomes kind of a lose for everybody. I mean, not that I would say you don't want to work with small companies because they really need it, but you've got to kind of establish budgets and guidelines and expectations early on. But I would say, I mean, if you want to do podcasts for other clients, then do one for yourself first. Because then you can practice on yourself, and then you can take that and do it for other people, right? I mean, I guess I could offer, since I've been doing this for a year, I could probably offer podcast services for other clients now too. But it is a little bit time intensive, I guess, and I'm doing it as a video and audio. I mean, most people are doing podcasts just as audio, but for me, I kind of like. I like being able to see the journalist that I'm talking to. I think there's some value in that for the viewers to be able to see the person because it kind of they're seeing them in a kind of a different setting. It's not as formal, and especially the TV folks. You're talking to them, and they're not talking in their TV voice; they're talking in their regular person voice, right, George?
Personalizes them for sure.
Well, yeah, and you get to. That's why I kind of ask the fun questions, just so people can get to know them and you can make a connection. Like when I was talking to the new editor of the Appin Papers this week, I always ask, and I was telling the hardest question I think that I ask people is, what's the coolest thing about you? Because, people are like, there's nothing cool about me. I was like, yeah, I'm sure there is something cool. But she said she's a big supporter of Save the Manatees, which is not necessarily a random thing, but that's kind of a fun, unique thing, right? She likes to go snorkeling and diving with manatees. That's kind of her fun thing, and it's kind of cool because I immediately kind of made a connection because we went and did that last year in the fall. We went and did the snorkeling with the manatees in Florida thing. So you immediately have a little bit of a connection with someone. So if a reporter says I really like this Ethiopian restaurant around the corner from me, maybe you like that one. Because I had one reporter who said, oh, I love this place called Desta. It's this great Ethiopian place. And I laughed and I said, I did takeout for them last night. It's just kind of that kind of good connection kind of thing. Desta. Nicole, Desta's around the corner from Nicole.
Yes, it is.
So
Y'all, this has been awesome. I'm gonna have to jump.
Oh yeah, we are at 1 o'clock. All right, thanks guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Keep talking.
I see everybody.
All right, see ya.
Bye.